Welcome to Midnight Story. When the night falls silent and shadows grow longer, this is where horror and mystery begin. Real stories, urban legends, secrets never told. Be prepared, because something unseen might be watching you. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and of course subscribe, so you never miss the next terrifying tale. Because here, every midnight has a story. It was past midnight when Claire received the email. The subject line read, "An experience you won't forget." Intrigued despite a flicker of dread, she opened it. The sender was anonymous. The body provided an address for an old downtown high-rise, a date, and a time. Tonight at 1:13 a.m., the final line read, "Step inside and discover what hides on the 13th floor." Claire hesitated for only a moment before curiosity overtook her better judgment. She bundled into her coat and ventured into the chilly night toward the abandoned tower. The building loomed against the moonlit sky, its windows dark and dusty. As Claire pushed open the warped front door, a gust of stale air rushed out, carrying the scent of rot. The lobby was empty, save for a battered reception desk and a shattered chandelier overhead. Her footsteps echoed as she approached the rusted elevator doors, which creaked open as though inviting her in. Inside the elevator, she noticed something odd. There was no button labeled 13. In its place sat a small, unmarked button nestled between 12 and 14. Her pulse pounded as she pressed it. The elevator descended silently and then jolted to a stop. When the doors slid open, Claire found herself in a dimly lit corridor lined with flickering sconces. The hallway stretched farther than the building's exterior ever should, its walls faded and peeling. A faint hum of conversation, or was it whispering, seemed to drift from behind each door. She took a tentative step forward, her breath catching in her throat. The first door on the left stood slightly ajar. Pushing it open, Claire entered a small parlor where old photographs covered every inch of wall space. Each photo depicted a different person. Children, adults, elders. Yet in every image, the subject's eyes held sheer terror. At the center of the room stood a lone rocking chair, its cushions stained and frayed. A handwritten note pinned to the back read simply, "Sit to understand." Even from across the room, Claire felt a chill. She spun on her heel and fled back into the hallway. No sooner had Claire regained the corridor than the walls themselves seemed to sigh. For a moment, silence. Then, hushed whispers slithered through the air, murmuring her name. At first, she thought it her imagination, but the voices grew louder, more insistent. She pressed her hands to her ears and ran, desperate to escape the insidious calling. Terror pulsing through her veins, Claire rounded a corner and nearly collided with a gaunt man in a faded janitor's uniform. His face was drawn, his eyes sunken and vacant. "You shouldn't be here," he rasped. "They don't let anyone leave the 13th floor." Before Claire could ask who they were, the janitor flicked a glance over his shoulder and vanished into the shadows, as if swallowed by the peeling wallpaper itself. Shaking, Claire pushed forward until she reached another door, its wood warped as though rotted. She forced it open and recoiled at the sight. Crimson stains smeared every surface. Handprints, bloody and jagged, decorated the walls, and the floor felt sticky under her feet. At the far end, a cracked mirror glinted in the scant light. Smeared in crimson across its surface were the words, "Leave now." Her heart hammered as she backed away. The hallway beyond, however, had transformed. Now the lights were dimmer, and a damp chill clung to the air. Claire tried retracing her steps, but the corridor twisted unnaturally, as if the walls themselves were alive. The elevator doors she had entered through were gone, replaced by a solid brick wall. Every door she tried slid open to reveal that same blood-stained room. Panic surged. She pounded on doors, screamed, but the only response was silence. And the relentless dripping echo from inside that room. Suddenly, distant laughter, light, childish, and unquestionably joyful, echoed through the halls. It seemed completely out of place. The sound teased her, dancing just beyond her reach. "Hello?" she called, voice shaking. The laughter only returned, seeming to swirl around her, deeper into the maze of hallways. Shaken, Claire stumbled forward, dread rising like bile in her throat. Desperate for any clue, Claire found herself drawn back to the cracked mirror in the blood-stained room. She swallowed hard and pressed her trembling hand to its cool surface. Then she saw it. Her reflection twisted into an unnatural grin. The figure in the mirror mouthed words she couldn't hear, then spoke in a hiss. "You'll never leave. You belong to us now." Claire stumbled backward, her reflection's grin widening as though it relished her horror. Shaken, Claire noticed a small, dust-covered journal peeking out from beneath the rocking chair. Flipping it open, she discovered it belonged to someone named Michael, dated exactly 1 year earlier. Page after page detailed his descent into terror on this same floor, each entry more frantic than the last. The final line sent a cold wave through Claire. "If anyone finds this, know the truth. There's no escape. They take your soul. I'm next." The hallway lights flickered violently, plunging Claire into near darkness. Gradually, shadowy shapes began to coalesce on the walls, figures with elongated limbs and glowing, ember-like eyes. They slid along the surfaces, trailing wisps of black smoke behind them. Claire pressed her back against the wall, breath caught in her chest as the shadows advanced with silent, deliberate movement. A guttural voice echoed down the hallway, reverberating through the floorboards. It called her name, low and mocking. "Claire, stay. You were chosen." Gooseflesh prickled her arms as the shadows gathered, their forms becoming more defined. She fled on shaking legs, but every step seemed to bring her deeper into their realm. Claire's feet pounded against the warped floor as she dashed through doors that shouldn't have led anywhere, or led back to the same spot. Each turn revealed the same dim corridor, stretching into a distant vanishing point. The laughter returned, now joined by hushed moans and indecipherable whispers. Exhausted, she risked looking back, only to see the shadows gliding closer, forever blocking her retreat. A faint glimmer of something different caught her eye. A narrow door labeled stairs. Pushing it open, she found a spiraling staircase, its steps crumbling but still intact. Clutching the banister, she climbed, driven by the hope it would lead to salvation. At the top, Claire emerged onto a rooftop, but the city below was gone. Instead, an endless black void stretched to the horizon. A lone street lamp flickered, illuminating a single door that shouldn't exist. Behind her, the staircase vanished. She pounded on the door, but it didn't budge. From somewhere below, the voice returned. "You can't escape. Not here." Summoning courage, Claire slid along the rooftop's edge until she spotted a hunched figure. It was Michael, his eyes hollow, face drawn with defeat. He reached out a trembling hand. "They've trapped me here," he whispered. "They want us." Claire swallowed past her terror. "How?" she asked, voice breaking. Michael's lips trembled. "You can't die, not here. We're permanent." The voice boomed from nowhere and everywhere at once. "Remain with us, Claire. Embrace the darkness, or bring another soul to take your place." Claire's blood ran cold. Panic warred with desperation. Her only options were to surrender or condemn another to this nightmare. She shook her head in horror. "Never," she vowed. The voice laughed, dripping with malice. "You'll change your mind." Claire backed away from Michael, tears blurring her vision. She stumbled and fell through a gap that opened in the rooftop. Instead of crashing to the ground, she landed inside the elevator. The doors closed with a final clang, and she heard the faint laugh of the unseen voice. The elevator lurched upward, directly to the unmarked 13th floor button. Again and again. Each time, the horrors grew more intense. Blood-stained rooms, wailing spirits, shadows with crimson eyes. After what felt like an eternity of horror, Claire's strength gave out. She found herself seated once more in the rocking chair in that first photograph room. Tears streamed down her face as the whispers subsided into a mournful sigh. The voice, now gentle as a lullaby, spoke. "You're home, Claire." Her heart stilled, and as the last spark of resistance died, Claire realized the truth. There was no escape. The 13th floor claimed her soul, and she joined the countless others trapped within its walls. The lights faded, the door closed, and silence reigned. Claire was gone, swallowed by the midnight mystery of the 13th floor.